Brad Marchand versus Matthew Tkachuk. Who is the bigger rat? I think I have an answer. All of that coming up next. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matt, and welcome to the Sin Bin. And one recurring question I keep getting, it's Matt, who is the bigger rat? Is it Matthew Tkachuk or is it Brad Marchand? It seems to be between those two people. So this next video, I'm going to dedicate it to finding out who is the biggest rat in the NHL. The way it's going to work is that I'm going to list off reasons why I think Matthew Tkachuk is a rat, and I'm going to list off reasons why I think Brad Marchand's a rat, and I'm sort of going to compare them, see which one's worst, and then declare my winner, or lack thereof. Now, what do I mean when I say rat? Well, rat is someone who's going to antagonize the opposition, get under their skin, be, quote-unquote, a shit disturber. I think you guys all know what I mean when I say a rat, so without further ado, why don't we get this thing started? We all know that these two players, they've been in the news for the past couple of weeks, both for very bad reasons, depending on your perspective here. But we all know Matthew Tkachuk, he's been in the heart of the Battle of Alberta. Here you see him fighting Zack Kassian, and he was heavily involved with Zack Kassian. A lot of people were saying those hits that he delivered behind the nets, they were very dirty. And I'm going to get to that later. Marchand's also been in the news. A few days ago, there was a game involving the Winnipeg Jets and the Boston Bruins, and Nikolai Ehlers, he delivered, in my opinion, it was a very clean hit. And what Marchand did, he decided to fight him. I don't think it was a very fair fight because he dropped the gloves very early, borderline jumped him, and then after he gave him a beating, he decided to flex his arm to the camera and to Ehlers and whatever. And, you know, it's just Marchand, being a rat, for lack of a better word. So these two have been in the news for the past couple of weeks, but like I said, I really want to delve into each player, give reasons why I think they're rat, and then, like I said, compare. So without further ado, first of all, if I'm to look at Marchand, the Marchand side of it, and you guys might say this is a dumb reason, it's got nothing to do with hockey, but I gotta say, and you guys can look at the photo, on the other side. You guys can look at the photo. I gotta say, Marchand's got a punchable face. You know, Tkachuk, he's no beauty queen himself. He has a very punchable face with the curly hair and whatnot and the chiclet's teeth. But when I look at Brad Marchand, there is no player I want to punch more in the NHL. Sure, it's annoying when Tkachuk chews on the mouth guard, and even Brady Tkachuk's been doing it. I don't know what that's all about, but maybe it's the history of the Boston Bruins and my Montreal Canadiens. But when I look at Brad Marchand's face, I just want to punch the shit out of it. And I'll tell you what, the players on the ice, they're exactly the same. They want to punch that nose back in his skull. So when it comes to the faces, I got to give it to Brad Marchand. Okay, I'll get to hockey now, I promise. So I got the faces out of the way. I got to say, both of these players, when I'm looking back at their highlights, at their clips, I find that they both have what I would call a signature hit, all right? We know that Tkachuk, he hit Zack Kassian behind the net. You can see it below. And players will say, you know, players that have played the game and current players as well, they will say the most dangerous place for a player, it's behind the net. I think it's got something to do with your head is always down and you don't have much space to maneuver. You know, the net and the boards are kind of in the way. So if you decide to hit someone in that vulnerable position, that makes you a rat. And the reason why I say it's a signature hit, I know he's only done it 2, 3, 4 times. I think that no one really else does that in the league. I mean, if there's someone else that does that, please let me know in the comments. But I wouldn't be surprised to see the games go along. Matthew Tkachuk is going to keep doing those type of hits. So, you know, if someone tries a lacrosse move, Matthew Tkachuk's just going to level him behind the net. Now, with that being said, I got to say, Marchand, throughout my years watching him and watching the Boston Bruins, you know, obviously being in the same division as the Canadiens, I always get a healthy dose of the Boston Bruins. He has a signature hit too. And I gotta say, as bad as the Tkachuk hits are, this hit is that much worse. I think Vancouver Canucks fan know what I'm talking about. It's the freaking knee swipes. And what that is that when a player comes to hit Marchand, instead of absorbing the hit, instead of taking the hit, which, let's face it, he's only 5'9", he'll get clobbered. Well, what he does instead is that he ducks. He ducks like a little pussy. And what happens to the player that's trying to hit him? He goes heads over tea kettle and ends up falling on his neck, falling on his back. It's very dangerous. Also, if you duck when a player tries to hit you, most oftentimes his knees takes the brunt of the impact. Those hits are absolutely disgusting, and I'm surprised that Brad Marchand isn't suspended more for them, because he does them till this day, and I absolutely hate it. Those type of hits can finish a guy's career. You take his knees out, he's finished. He can't skate anymore. So for that reason, having a punchable face and the type of hits he delivers, I have to give it to Brad Marchand again. All right. One reason I think Tkachuk is a bigger rat than Brad Marchand is that he's better at throwing players off their game. For all of Marchand's antics, and he's had many antics, it seems that players always kind of laugh it off, sort of. Tkachuk, on the other hand, if you look at what he's done to Cassian, if you look at what he's done to Doughty, if you look at what he's done that game where he started a huge bench-clearing brawl against the Detroit Red Wings, he has a knack of throwing the best players off their game. I don't know if it's his face, I don't know if it's things he says on the ice, but when it comes to throwing players off their games, I feel like Matthew Tkachuk, despite having only, 2, 3, 4 years in this league, he's done it to a T. He's mastered that art. There's this great video on YouTube. You guys can check it out, and I'll probably link it in the description. It's 10 minutes of Matthew Tkachuk throwing players off their games, and he's only a rookie. If you can make a 10-minute video of Matthew Tkachuk pissing off people as a rookie, he gets my vote. So that's one vote for Tkachuk that I give. All right. I'm going to go towards Marchand here. We all know a couple of years ago, the Boston Bruins were playing the Tampa Bay Lightning in the playoffs. And unfortunately, this happened. Boom. This is absolutely disgusting. All right? When I look at this, and I know it's sort of old news, but I wasn't on YouTube at the time, to lick a player's face, and a face, it's not like my face right now where I haven't done any physical activity. Callahan was at the end of a shift. He's probably dripping profusely with sweat. To decide to lick a sweaty athlete's face, it's not only disgusting, it takes a special kind of person to do that. It takes a sociopath to do that. And for all of the antics that Matthew Tkachuk has done, I don't think he's ever gone as far as to lick someone's face. I mean, that's just plain disgusting. So for that reason alone, I gotta give the point to Brad Marchand here. But, I gotta say, that's absolutely disgusting, and it turns my stomach. And going back to my previous point, I don't think it threw the Lightning off their game. I don't think that I don't think that Callahan took a penalty on the play. So, that just goes back to my previous point. But moving on, I think that is absolutely disgusting. And 10 years from now, or whatever it is, when Tkachuk finishes his career, I don't think we would have seen him lick someone's face. I mean, that takes a special type of sociopath to do it. All right, next point. It's that if you look at both players, their resume, it's sort of like when people compare McDavid to Crosby. They say, well, McDavid's amazing, but Crosby's been doing it for longer. Crosby has the experience. He has the 3 Stanley Cups. He has the Conn Smythe Trophy. I'm sort of going to echo that mentality to these two rats, okay? As ratty as Tkachuk has been, as much of a shit disturber as he's been, Marchand's been doing it longer. Marchand's in his 30s, Tkachuk's in his early 20s. That's a good 5 to 10 years that Marchand's been doing it extra. His resume is fuller, and that reflects in the amount of suspensions he's taken. Marchand's been suspended 6 times for a total of 19 games. I repeat, 19 games. That's nothing to spit at or to lick at. Tkachuk, I haven't been able to find it, but from what I recall, he's only been suspended 3 times. It was 2 games for the elbow he gave to Doughty, 1 game for what he did to Troy Brouwer, and it was 1 game for that bench clearing brawl thing. So to my knowledge, he's only been suspended 3 games. Sorry, 3 times, and it was 4 games. So if you look at Brad Marchand, his resume is a little fuller. He's done more shit disturbing, but I gotta say, I think you guys can guess where I'm leaning on here. As much as I think that Tkachuk is the rat for the future, the current rat, it's always going to be Brad Marchand. I mean, just look at his face. He looks, you know, the Fly movie? It's a movie where the man's trying to clone himself and he has this cloning machine and a fly ends up going in the machine and he becomes part man, part fly. Marchand looks like a rat entered the cloning machine. And he just has the face of a rat. You know, I gotta say, I love the memes with Tkachuk though. I don't know if you saw the Tkachuk controller where you can press Y to dive, B to decline a fight, X to talk shit, R to skate away, so on and so forth. But I gotta say, like I said, for now, it's Marchand. In the future, I wouldn't be surprised if Tkachuk becomes the rat. But I'm gonna give a dark horse here, Brady Tkachuk. His name isn't thrown out there a lot. Okay, I gotta say, watching the Ottawa Senators game, I absolutely hate this guy. You know, the trouble he gives opposing goalies. He's gonna probably be the rat of the future. You know, forget Matthew. Let's look at Brady here. I gotta say, you know, and me calling them a rat, what I think is funny is that if I were to go to Marchand or Tkachuk and go to their face and call them a rat, do you think they care? No, they know it's their game. They know it's what they have to do. They know they're getting partially paid for that. So they'll probably take it as a compliment. So that's why this video is sort of tongue-in-cheek. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it was very informative. Let me know in the description, who do you think is the bigger rat? Is it Marchand? Is it Tkachuk? I really want to know. I feel like it's going to be a one-sided thing here. I think Marchand's going to run away with it. But I really want to know your opinion. And as per usual, if you guys want to follow me, make sure to follow the link in the description to be on the Discord server, the official server. Or if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at thesinbin1996. Or if you want to contact me in email, it's right on the screen. So make sure you do that and make sure you like and subscribe to the Sinbin. My name is Matt. Keep your stick on the ice.